Hey YouTube, good morning. It's wonderful to be with you. We are about to get going with the free Soulmate class. I'm just going live on Facebook, just bear with me. Okay, good morning Facebook. Just waiting for that to come live. Let's get going. So there's two of you here. If you're here, let me know. So if you shared the post that I put on Facebook, it will be my absolute pleasure to pull you a card or answer you a soulmate question. So as always, good morning, Facebook. What I ask is that if you would like a card pulled, that you share on the post, just because that helps me to reach more people and it just honors the offering that we're bringing through. Okay, so this morning we are working with Archangel Michael, and this is all about difficult soulmate relationships. So the first thing I want to talk about is karmic relationships versus soulmate relationships. So a karmic relationship is where you're together because you're balancing something that you wanted to balance between each other that comes from another life. So your dynamic in this life is based upon experienced in another life. And the important relationship is to understand you may not have been lovers in another life. You might have been mother and son. You might have been brothers and sisters. And the purpose of a relationship is always to learn something about yourself and to share something with the other person as well. So what I see a lot of, what I see a lot of is I see a lot of people trying to make a relationship something it's never going to be. I have spoken when I would work on the psychic lines. I would speak to a lot of people that were involved in a relationship that was never going to go anywhere because the other person simply wasn't able to come forward in the way that the individual was hoping. So a karmic relationship at a certain point will become very tiring. This is because your soul contract is set to a point when you learn as much as you can from that relationship. And once you've learned as much as you can from that relationship, this is if it's somebody that you've been with in a past life, your vibration naturally goes up. And the difference between the two of you then is obvious. So what happens in a karmic relationship is usually one person is much more keen to go to the next level than the other person, and it causes imbalance. And what you've got to remember is that nothing ever lasts forever. Everything changes form. Everything does. There's not a single example of anything lasting forever, even the earth. So it is natural for relationships to change. It is natural for relationships to end. And it is natural for new relationships to begin. And a karmic relationship is going to feel very, very tiring if it was supposed to end. Because if you're ready for more commitment, and you know that person is not ready for commitment with you, it doesn't matter how long you stay in that relationship. Once you reach that point, that you've got as much from it as you can, you planned to move on. Okay, so that's why karmic relationships are from another space and time. They're not supposed to last for long periods of time in this life. So then the next type of relationship that Michael wants to talk about is a true soulmate relationship. Okay. And we are looking at difficult relationships here. So perhaps where one party has got another spouse, or perhaps where one party has got, baggage, or has got addictions, or for whatever reason, perhaps it's to do with family. Perhaps they work or live in another country or another part of the world and you can't get to see each other very much. Perhaps they have health issues. So these are still true soulmate relationships. Okay, so we're going to talk about this now. So Michael wrote this. A true soulmate is someone that you have a long-term common connection with. It doesn't mean that your relationship will be a smooth ride. It does mean that you planned to grow through your life together, even if you're at odds with each other at times. So I want to use myself as an example here. I've been married. It's my third marriage. I've been married for nearly 10 years. We're getting married again very soon, and we're very happy. We used to fight like cat and dog. I remember us kicking a toast around the front lawn, and we don't fight like that anymore, but we could not be without one another. We planned to grow through those periods together, but at times I remember breaking a broom over my head. I wouldn't touch anyone else, but I did it to myself. But we laugh about those things now because we just don't have that kind of energy within us anymore. So a true soulmate relationship differs to a karmic relationship in the fact that even if there's a lot of drama, even if there's a lot of passion, you can't actually be without one another because you didn't contract to be without one another. Okay. We used to flounce. I would flounce with the dog and I would take the dog for a walk. Okay. And he would flounce off into the caravan with a bottle of whiskey, right? So I'm just going to see who's live here with me. Hey, Keone. Hey, Natika. Hi, Joe. Hey, Lisa. Hi, Rach. Lovely here. Lovely to have you all here, gorgeous girls. So the difference between a karmic relationship, a karmic basically be where one party is not as bothered about the relationship continuing as the other one. So if, my husband would have been quite keen to get rid of me, I've got a patio, or if, the flouncing then turned into one of us walking out and staying away, that would be more like a karmic relationship. So in a karmic relationship, usually one of you is much more needy, much more feels the necessity than the other one. Okay. And that is all it is that you didn't plan for it to continue long term in this life. So, I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm thinking of somebody that I worked with many years ago. And it was an on again, off again relationship, but they could not be without each other. And this on again, off again relationship, he was married. The wife knew about my client. It had gone on for like 12 years. So that was a true soulmate relationship, even though, there was a wife. So if you can't be without each other, neither of you can be without the other one, despite the drama and everything else, then it's a true soulmate relationship. And at some point, you will usually find that the drama dies down, usually after a few years, and you find common ground. Because all that energy is its unresolved fear. but that doesn't mean there isn't an awful lot of love as well. Whereas with a karmic relationship, it's about need and desperation. It can be about control. It can be about the fear of rejection. A true soulmate relationship, you are growing through the crap and you're growing together. And in the end, common ground is usually found. Okay, so Archangel Michael is now going to talk about lovers who don't commit. Number one, you will know deep down if you agree to be with each other long term. So let's say you don't know whether it's a karmic relationship, or you don't know whether it's a true soulmate relationship, because it's off, it's on, it's here, it's there, right? You will know if you agreed to be together long term. You might not be able to accept it, but, you know, the way I will say this is, if in the beginning there is a lack of communication, if there is a lack of reliability on behalf of one of you, if there is shenanigans going on, okay, you know, messaging other people, all of that sort of thing, it's usually a karmic relationship. And what I often see is that the woman has often been the man's mother in a past life, or the woman has been the man's elder sister in a past life. And I'm using, because women are the people I work with, very often the spouse or the lover that isn't being reliable or isn't committing was the wayward son, or was, you know, the wayward husband, or was the wayward younger brother in that life. And so what's happening is the dynamic is just repeating itself, and the woman is supposed to have more self-respect and is supposed to kick that man's ass to the curb. I'm just saying it, okay? And of course this can go around the other way as well. So often the lack of commitment is because the lover hasn't learned the lessons in their life, and they cannot move forward until they've completed the current task. So in situations where the other person has another spouse, okay, often they can't leave. So this is where you know, they've got a wife, or they've got a husband, or they've got a boyfriend, or they've got a girlfriend, and that you know, you love each other very, very much, and you know you love each other very much, but they're just not leaving that spouse. Very often they can't, because the reason that they're with you is because they're not facing up to what's wrong where they are. And there is a very simple spiritual law: you cannot go faster than you're ready for. So if they haven't completed everything within their soul contract that they're supposed to with that spouse, they can't leave, and they will know that. So it's not just that they're not wanting to commit to you. They might very much want to leave. But, you know, if part of their soul contract was to be honest and be truthful, they won't be able to leave that spouse until they've been honest and truthful with themselves and with the other person. So you may well have arrived in their life at a point when they were supposed to be ready. Okay, we all know people can take their sweet time about things, and some people go faster than others. And depending on the age of the soul, if they're what we call a sleeping soul, a baby soul, or a working soul, the chances are they're going much slower in terms of their soul growth. And very often they will come back several more times, and you've come into their life at a time when in heaven they said, I'll be ready by then, come in then. So, you know, most of you that I work with are angel souls or leader souls or racing souls. You know, you're fast, your growth is fast. And as a result of that, you may well arrive in their life when they were supposed to be ready for you, but they're not ready. And so you're waiting. And so you become the other party, even though there's part of you that knows you were not supposed to be the other party. You were actually supposed to be the next relationship. Okay, so this is where I'm being straight with you. It isn't always because, you know, they're a bad person and they're a cheating rascal. Very often it is just that they're slow and you've come in early because you were ready earlier. Okay, so now we're going to talk about relationships where love has faded. Okay, so he says marriage is a commitment, but it's a human one. Often your plan was to be in a situation where you have to have the courage to want more for yourself. If the relationship is devoid of genuine warmth, even if the sexual aspect has gone, if there is no warmth, there will be a feeling of emptiness. This is not a judgment. We want you to love yourself as much as you love your children, your house, your lifestyle. The plan usually was for you to needs first. So a lot of you that are in long-term relationships that aren't relationships anymore, that they are living arrangements, okay, and you're hanging on by your fingernails because, you know, perhaps you've reached a certain age and you don't want to start again. You don't want to upset your kids. You don't want to live in a pokey little flat somewhere. But I will tell you, if there is an emptiness and there is no warmth, you're not supposed to stay. You're just not supposed to stay. So often you planned for another person to help you realize that you deserve more. So this is where we're looking at you being the person who has feelings for somebody else. Been in this situation, but this is what Michael says. It's very common. It's important to remember it's never about the other person. So, you know, Bob down the pub or, you know, John from the gym, okay, that you're convinced is your soulmate. They're usually what we call a soul friend, and that means they come in as planned to make you feel desire again, and to help you realize that you're selling yourself short where you are. You're also selling the other person short as well, and that is not best for anyone. It really isn't about them, because usually the lady that I speak to will be fixated on John from the gym, okay, and she'll be convinced it's her twin flame. It could be your twin flame, but usually if you were to leave the person that you're with now, it still wouldn't come together because they came in as a catalyst. They came in as a big fat carrot, okay, big fat donkey that you want to pin the tail on, but they're not designed to be your next true relationship. So people do get fixated on John from the gym. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Very sorry, my love. So very often extra relationships show us what you really need, but it's often not meant to last. So then Michael says, we never want you to waste your life. We know it's hard to walk away from an established life. Sometimes that is what you planned, often because in other lives you felt trapped. And you know what he said is that in many of these other lives, you would have been completely rejected. If you walked away from your spouse, you would have had no way of supporting yourself. Some of you would even have been put to death if you left your spouse. Sometimes the treatment of women would be terrible. You know, honor killings, all of that. So sometimes what you planned is that you actually have the freedom to walk away, begin again, and love yourself enough to know that you did come here to have more happiness than what you've actually got. So what we're going to say is we want you to listen to that, we never want you to waste your life. Sometimes what you planned was to walk away because you have the right to begin again. You have the right to be happy. And some of you know this, but some of you are very, very scared of walking away. I mean, I've started again like about 6 times, and it's not easy and it's not nice. It is worth it. I can tell you, true love is out there. It is real, but often you're not going to find it until you have the courage to do really right for you. And that's not a lecture, because we understand it is difficult. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, the thing is, when somebody is going for somebody that's unattainable, it's not about those men. It's actually because she's scared of real commitment. And so that's what she's attracting. There's part of her that likes the fact they're unattainable because she doesn't have to give a real commitment to them. So in a way, she wants it in that way. Yeah. Okay. So if you shared the post, so I am being quite honest with you. I'm not pulling cards unless you shared the post, because it's not fair on the people that were kind enough to share the post. So I think what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to do a very, very quick message from Michael on YouTube and finish, because I don't want this to be too long and boring. Okay, let's bring Michael in. Your faith in anyone or anything outside of yourself is false. Your relationships mirror the worth you have within. If you insist on making another soul the reason for your life, then it's very easy for that to go wrong. We understand that you want that particular person to feel the way that you want them to feel. But what you are projecting is the energy of wanting, the energy of needing. And of course, the universe can only replicate what it is you project. And so instead, take your focus off that person, off that soulmate, and place that focus all upon yourself. As you feel genuine love, genuine pride, genuine pleasure, genuine acceptance of you as you are, with or without that person, they will feel the genuine attraction towards you that you feel for yourself. This will act as a magnet to bring towards you somebody that sees in you what you see and feel in you too. There is nothing more attractive, there is nothing sexier than somebody who likes who they are. And so we say to you, when someone is walking away from you, there is nothing that you can do to make them feel the way you want them to feel. Your work is to feel the way that you can feel about yourself. And when they realize that you are not waiting for them, when they realize that your focus has turned within, very often whatever it was that they thought they would find elsewhere, they see is present within you. But it all starts with you. If you do not go within, my dears, you will continue to go without. Okay, so that was Archangel Michael. So I'm going to wish YouTube a wonderful weekend. If you've enjoyed this, please would you like, share and subscribe. I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. As I always say, you can get rid of me at a later date if you want to. I'm sending you all my love, and you can also find my relationship readings on my website, www.sheilamaria.com. Lots of love. Bye for now.